Well, Ron, it looks like we've got 30 people here, so that's an excellent turnout. So
Dang, yeah.
I think we will go ahead and get started with Frank's presentation. If everybody could mute yourself, and then I don't know how your computer works, but with mine, you just push your space bar to unmute yourself if you have a question for Frank or something, but then that helps us not have weird noises going on when Frank's talking. So once again, we really appreciate Frank. He is so generous with his time and help for the club, being a speaker and being willing to judge. And he had a lot of pictures to judge this month. I think we had more entries than we've had in a long time. So thank you again, Frank. And we're looking forward to hearing from both the Franks are here tonight. So all about their travails in the snow and getting all those great wintering pictures.
Well, hopefully that's the goal anyway.
Yeah.
Have to be just a little bit crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get up to here and get up to here. So can everybody hear me and everybody see?
I believe so.
Okay, great. So winter photography can be fun, but it does require quite a bit of preparation. I don't recommend it for everybody. I'm the kind of person, when I get out in the cold, my fingers and my toes immediately go numb. So I work especially hard trying to keep warm. And hopefully in this presentation, I'll be able to share some of the tips and tricks that I have learned in my winter photography, hanging out with Frank Cradafil and Adam Attoon and Jamie, can't think of Jamie's last name all of a sudden, Jamie Harvey. So those are the guys that I've been going out and taking pictures in pretty cold weather. Just as an example for temperatures, on average, we're probably in the 18 to 25 degree range, but we've had a couple of times where the temperature's been down into the low, low numbers, 10, 8, those kind of things. So you do have to be a little bit prepared. I'll start with this little video.
Hey, Frank.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
Are you doing the closed captioning on your computer?
I don't know that I am, but apparently
I didn't turn it on, and it seems to, I don't know if it's what's causing it, but your voice is going in and out, low and low and loud in the volume.
Any idea how to turn it off or where it's at?
I don't see them, said.
Don't turn it off. It's fine.
You hear it fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave it on and hopefully it won't create too much trouble. Maybe if I get a little closer to the microphone and you see my face up close.
Yeah, it looks good. We even have the caption going, so it's perfect.
Okay. So this little video is all about preparing.
I don't see them, Sanders. I've sent the troops on ahead to Vector 78, sir. Good. Let's get moving. Yes, sir. Driver, prepare to move out. What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go. Let's go. Yes, sir. Sir, should you sit down?
So that's my take on preparing. So one of the very first things that all of you should be considering before you head out of the house is, what's the weather going to be like? And I use several tools for doing that. Check the weather for temperatures, rain or snow, road conditions, and wind. And you do that with several different free apps or very low cost apps. I use, for instance, I use Windy to check the wind conditions. I also use the PG&E cams as well as the PG&E weather stations. The problem is that they're generally not in the places that I go, but they're around the places that we go. So you can kind of check the wind using the Windy app, and you can also check it using the PG&E website weather stations that PG&E has installed all over the place. And if you can get 2 or 3, at least in the general area where you're at, you can get a pretty good idea what the wind is doing. And the reason the wind is so important is that it can be cold, it can be 18 degrees, it can be even 10 degrees, but if that wind is blowing 5 or 10 miles an hour, it's extremely cold. You get that wind blowing on you. And like Craddophil and I were just doing a couple weeks ago at Lassen, and it was miserable cold. If you didn't have your gloves on, your fingers were numb almost instantaneously. You can use any weather app. They're all pretty good, and type in, the actual location. So if you type in Lassen or Mount Shasta or McLeod, generally speaking, they have a weather report for that specific area, and it's fairly accurate. We use it for cloud too, to try to find out if there's going to be any clouds in the sky. And if it shows, I learned this trick from Frank Craddophil, if it shows it's going to be partly cloudy, about 75–80% of the time, it's going to be partly cloudy, meaning that there's a chance that you're going to get some color in the sky when you're out taking pictures. So keep that in mind. Get second opinions. If you know someone that lives where you're going to go, I have a friend that lives in McLeod. I can just call them and say, hey, what's the weather like? And they look out the window and say it's gold. So that's an option for you as well. Already talked about the PG&E cams. I use satellite loops. If you can pick up a satellite loop that shows the clouds, it will give you kind of an indication of where the clouds are, and maybe that you can see that the clouds are incoming. So you can kind of see, if you look at a broad view, the top of Northern California, a little bit of Oregon, you can kind of see the clouds coming and going. And that's really helpful in trying to decide whether you're going to make a trip or not. The other part is fog. If you're out there if you go to Mount Shasta, you might not have fog, but as soon as you cross past Black Butte and start to head into Weed, you may run into fog and you can't see the mountain once you get into the fog. Although, if you go a little bit further, sometimes the fog will break up and you can see the mountain behind you. So knowing if there's going to be fog, what the prognosis is for the fog, is it going to burn off or is it going to stay all day, does make a difference in where we go. Best time to go, early in the morning before the sun rises. So if you're going to be in Mount Shasta and the sun rises at 7, you want to be there at 6, so you can watch and make a decision to go somewhere else if the weather is changing rapidly around you. So we might go to Castle Lake Road to take pictures from there, and we can't see the mountain. We might make a decision to go down to the lake and take pictures from the lake, but generally, if you just hang out for enough time, the clouds move, the fog burns off, or the fog changes places, and the mountain will pop out if you're in that particular section. I have found that McLeod, especially every time in the really cold weather when there's fog around, if you make a trip up over the hill and into McLeod, it's almost always in the fog. If you want to take pictures of Castle Craigs, that little section of road is almost always foggy when there's moisture in the air. And I've waited it out and changed positions many times, waiting for the crags to pop out, and they just don't. So the more you're familiar with the weather, the better a chance you are of getting good pictures. So a picture of Frank and Lassen a couple of weeks ago, walking around in an ice cold stream. Here's a video. Got mucklucks on, just waterproof boots.
How often do you guys fall in?
I fell not in anything cold, although I did slip when I was at Hedge Creek Falls. I did slip a couple of times, but most of the time, if I'm really careful, I've been pretty lucky and not fall. I did fall last spring and dunked my D500 completely underwater, had to send it in, and cost me $300 to get it back, but it's all working fine. Here's the picture that Frank got from that shot.
Gosh, that looks like it would be hard to get out of that creek with that bank of snow and ice on the edge.
Yeah, it can be. Behind where I'm standing, there's actually a little bridge of snow going back and forth across the creek. So it wasn't too bad, but it can be if in this case Frank is just using the tripod legs as a support, which I've done many times, and it saved me from falling in. But I do recommend if you're climbing around in snow like this to have your sticks, your walking sticks. It does make a difference.
You guys are always putting your tripod in the water like that. How do you keep it from just shaking your camera doesn't that move the camera?
Absolutely can. You have to try and find a spot where the water is not really strong or deep enough that it's not going to make an effect, or you have to hang on the tripod a little bit to keep it from vibrating. I think you'll find when you've done it enough times that, if you find a little eddy behind a rock, sometimes that works. A little shallow spot, sometimes even a really deep spot will make a difference between, but if you get right out in the heavy moving water, it's going to vibrate some, and it will cause a difference, cause a image shake. And at that point, the only thing you can do, if that's the spot you want to use to take the picture, crank up your ISO and your shutter speed, get it up there, thousandths of a second or so if possible. And that can help eliminate some of that shake that you've got going on there. So this next section is about preparing your equipment. What will you need for cold and wet weather? The number one thing is spare batteries, especially in cold weather. Most of us don't have super high capacity batteries in our cameras, meaning that you have maybe 1900, 1500 milliamp hours. And I guarantee you that if you're out in really cold temperatures, that's going to last about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. So having a spare battery, you might look at some of the aftermarket batteries that have 2500 milliamp. And I've been able to successfully shoot most of the day, most of the morning anyway, in the cold without having to change a battery. So higher capacity of battery, even if it's an aftermarket battery, as long as it's a good brand like a B&H brand, it should work just fine. Dry clothes and microfiber cloths. When you're near water and or fog and or snow and or rain, you're going to get moisture on your lens. You may even get ice on your lens if it's really cold. So having a warm microfiber cloth in your pocket. In fact, I carry one or two in each pocket so I can grab a dry one after I've used it to clean off the glass. I can put it in my left pocket and grab another one out of my right pocket that's going to be dry the next time. And you get close to waterfalls, that's a constant battle. And I've got some great photos. I got water spots on them. And it's not that you can't take out all those water spots, it's just difficult. Covers, caps, and lens hoods. When you're wandering around with your camera in inclement weather, keep a lens cap on to keep your lens dry. The lens hoods will also keep a lot of moisture and snowflakes off of the front element of the lens. Kind of keep an eye on your camera, pointing it down when you're wandering around so that you don't pick up any moisture, any raindrops or snowdrops. And then investing in a small, not very costly lens cover or camera and lens cover. They make them, they start at, as little as $30 or $40, and go up into several $100s. And the difference is that some of them are just disposable. You put them on, you use them. They're a lot like a Ziploc bag, but they're designed in the shape of a telephoto lens in a camera body. And you pull it up over and you zip up the lens side and you zip up the back side. You can still see the back of the camera. That goes a long way in keeping your camera equipment dry. Plastic covers, actual rain covers. Umbrellas work fine. Shower caps, a really good idea. Thank you, Frank Cradafil, for posting that to me just now. Umbrellas can work, and I've used them in thunderstorms. The problem is an umbrella will catch the wind, and unless you have it permanently attached, you're fighting holding the umbrella as well as holding your camera equipment in gusts of wind that can be a real pain in the butt. Can your camera handle getting wet? Don't guess. The question is, if you've got a camera that is, $300, the chance is it's not very weatherproof, definitely not waterproof. If on the other hand, you've got, a couple $1,000s in your camera body, the chances are it is sealed a lot tighter. I feel pretty comfortable with my D500, even though I dunked it, it's not waterproof. It does handle the rain pretty well. I do like to carry a white cotton towel, dish towel, bathroom towel. If I'm traveling, I'll always grab that towel out of the bathroom and throw it in my camera bag just to kind of absorb some of that extra water that's falling. At some point, the towel is going to get wet and it's pretty useless after that. But anything that you can do to keep your camera equipment dry, that's just an extra thing. I kind of learned that from Moose Peterson. He came out of went to one of his classes and he came out of the hotel room carrying 2 of those towels. And what are you going to do with those? And that's where I got learned on carrying a couple of towels around just to absorb the extra moisture. Even if it's not raining, just that mist from a waterfall or just a light rainfall will definitely help you out. I have a problem with my particular tripod that in cold weather, one of my legs will come loose on the tripod. Not my leg, the tripod leg. It just gets a little bit too cold, and for some reason, it seems to loosen up in the cold. So if you don't already carry tools, a couple of little Allen wrenches with you, it's a good idea to make sure you have a couple of Allen wrenches with you if a leg does come loose. I fight with them, while I'm out in the field, and I've just decided now that if my leg gets loose, I'm going to stop and tighten it. It just makes all the difference in the world. It might just be me, but for my particular tripod. The other thing is that depending on the tripod that you own, if you do get it wet, some people can just unscrew the bottom of the leg and the water will all drain out. That's not true on my tripod. I have spikes on the bottom that you rotate in and out, and I can't take them off easily. So when I get home, if it's been in a lot of water all day long and it's still wet when I get home, I'll actually slide the legs off and wipe them dry, and or put the tripod out in the sun if it's warm enough to dry the tripod legs. Do you need snowshoes or yak tracks or hiking poles? The answer is yes, yes, and yes. Especially if you're going to be walking around in icy conditions, thick snow, hard snow. Hiking poles will save you from falling over. When you take a step into a snowbank and you sink up into your thigh, the poles will help make it easier for you to get out. Snowshoes make it easier for you to walk on the snow. Cradafil and I were just up at Castle Creek Road taking pictures. And if you've ever been up there, there's only one really good place to take pictures from. And in the spring through fall, you can't climb around out there and all that manzanita. It's too thick, too tall, and really hard to move around. But in the wintertime, it snows on top of all that, and you can just walk right over the top of all that manzanita. So a pair of snowshoes, hiking poles makes that easier. If the snow if we've had 5 or 6 clear nights like we did the last time we were out, that same snow just a few days later was rock hard. I didn't really need snowshoes, but it was a little bit slippery. So I wore something called a yak track. If you don't know what that is, this is something that you tie on to, or that you attach with, it's rubber. It attaches to the bottom of your shoes, and it has metal. If I can do that this way, it has metal, there we go, that you're walking on. So it keeps you from slipping and falling in the snow or ice. If you've ever been to Lassen, you know, when you take that little trail down to the lake or around the lake or up by where the stream coming in, having something that'll keep you from slipping and fall makes a big difference in your day. I fell up at Lassen a year ago, and I still have a sore rump from that fall. So you can fall and injure your coccyx, and you're going to hurt for a long time. So do whatever you can to keep from slipping. Good boots. A pair of yak tracks are only about $30. They're worth their weight in gold. You might only use them a couple times, but every time you go to use them, they're going to save you from slipping and falling. Waterproof boots, yes, absolute must. Hip or chest waders is entirely up to you. You've seen Frank and Cradafel and myself's pictures. We do tend to get in the water to get some of our photos, so having hip waders is nice. I have a pair. The only problem is if I squat down to maybe get a shot, the hip waders are open right at my waist. And so if I squat down sometimes, the water will sneak in the back. So having chest waders, which are about twice as much money, $100, $70 to $100 for hip waders. Chest waders are, you know, $100 to $200, and they can be insulated, and you can wander around the water all the way up to your chest. So if you're going to try and get in the water, and I've also used my yak tracks in the water because they've got that grip on the bottom that keeps me from slipping off the rocks. So that's another piece that you might want to consider getting for yourselves. Keep your camera equipment in the trunk of your car, the back of your truck, even the back of your car away from the heat. Because when you take your 70-degree car where your camera is, put it outside in 10, 20-degree weather, the first thing the lens is going to do is fog up on you. And in some cases, it'll not only fog up, but it'll ice up, and it'll make it harder for you to keep it clean. So keep your camera equipment cold, lenses, camera body cold, less likely to freeze up or fog up on you. You can take the battery out, keep it in your pocket to keep your batteries warm. I always have at least 1 or 2 batteries in my pocket and 1 in the camera. But if I know I'm going to be out in the cold, I will absolutely carry spare batteries and take the one that's in the camera out. But keep that camera equipment cold so you don't have a fogging issue. Keep your batteries in your pocket. This is Adam Attoon in the middle, myself on the left, Frank on the right, Cradafel on the right, or if it's on your screen backwards, I'm in the red jacket. And this was a day up at Lassen when we were in about 18 to 22-degree weather. So you bundle up real good, I'll tell you that. Clothing tips, long underwear or lined pants. I wear both. I have long underwear, I have lined pants. They're wonderful. The lined pants by themselves, if it's not too cold, are excellent, keeping your legs warm. I don't have too much of a problem keeping my legs warm. It's my toes that's the biggest problem. Long underwear is fairly inexpensive, Walmart, $10. And lined pants are available at several places around town. They're generally in the $50 to $100 range, but that's all I wear anymore. I don't wear jeans anymore. I wear either my unlined pants or my lined pants, and they're great. Dress in layers. Remember, if you're going to hike in someplace, you get all dressed up nice and cozy warm, and you start to hike out like we did in McLeod. And we had to hike 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles to get to middle McLeod Falls in 2 feet of snow. It doesn't take very long before you're hot and sweaty. So you want to be able to either loosen up or take off some of those clothes. But if you take it off, then you've got to have some place to put it. So keep that in mind if you've got space in your camera bag, or have a plan for wrapping around your body and tightening it up. And then when you get there and you've stopped moving, you're going to get cold again, then you can start putting your clothes back on. Prattville gets warm for no reason at all. Me, on the other hand, I'm cold all the time, so I stay bundled up. But that hike to middle of Cloud Falls, I got hot and sweaty. And if you get wet, if you get sweaty, you're going to be colder. So you want to stay as dry as possible. Have an extra pair of socks, just in case your feet do get wet or your feet do get cold. You can, when you get back, you can throw an extra pair of socks on. I actually use 2 pair of socks. I have a silk pair. That's the one that I wear closest to my feet. Then I'll throw a warming pad, you know, those little hand warmers. I'll throw 2 of those on top of my toes. And then I'll throw my second pair of socks on top of that to hold that in place. And that works great for me. I tend to keep my feet pretty warm using a pair of hand warmers on the top of my toes. I've tried the toe warmers that you're supposed to put on the bottom of your boot. But what happens is that you're stepping on them all the time and you're blocking the oxygen that makes them heat. And after a while, they're not heating anymore. When you get back to the truck, if you take them out, they're ice cold, and then you move them around for a little bit, you know, and they'll start to warm up again once they get oxygen. So putting them on top of your toes, but not directly on your skin. I have gloves with fingers. I'm getting gloves with that don't have fingers. I think my hands will stay warmer if I give them an environment where my fingers are closer together and not separated. But you know, everybody's different. The other thing I've discovered with gloves is if you're hiking and you get really hot, your hands will sweat. Once your hands sweat, then it makes them pretty hard to take on and put back on again. So whatever you can do to keep your hands dry. They do make silk liners for gloves, or you can go into mitts. Maybe don't get them quite so tight that it's difficult to put on and off, especially in cold weather. Covers for your face. There's lots of different kinds out there. Go to a motorcycle shop and look for a balaclava. It's a full face mask that you can wear as a cap, or you can pull it down and it'll cover everything but your eyes. They're wonderful. They do tend to get wet from, you know, you're breathing in and out of them in cold weather. So they get a little bit soggy, but I'm okay with having a soggy nose, a soggy face. I'm not okay with having a frozen nose. So anything you can do, keep your nose warm. Hand warmers and toe warmers. When I get to where I'm going, I have my hand warmers and my gloves. Generally, a few minutes before I get to where I'm going, 15 minutes or so, I'll open up the packs and throw them in the inside of my gloves. And I will wait until I get someplace to put the hand warmers on top of my shoes. And that gets my feet and my hands warm, and they can stay warm most of the day as long as you don't have your hands out too long. But once you get your hands really cold, even though they're nice and toasty warm, it does take a while to warm your fingers back up. These are some of the pictures of some of the driving conditions that we've seen. The right picture of the truck, I believe, is at Tule Lake. And the picture on the left is driving up towards Mount Shasta. Conditions can be really, really bad. So you don't go unless you know what the weather and road conditions are going to be like. You can use the Caltrans cameras to kind of give you an idea. They've changed the Caltrans cameras that they're showing you a forecast instead of the actual weather. But if you click on it, there's another spot where you can get the actual weather now. So it makes it a little bit easier to know what the weather is, what the weather forecast is, but also what the weather actually is going on when you get there or on your way there. Getting there. Is your car ready for winter? Depending on the age of your car, you may or may not have had your antifreeze changed anytime recently. You want to make sure your tires are, you know, decent, meaning they have good tread on them. And you can when you get in really cold temperatures, I have had this happen several times in my car, even though they're properly inflated, you get into cold temperatures, they'll lose a few degrees and the lights will come on your dash saying that your tires are low. Well, it panicked me the first couple times that happened. And by the time I got home, the light was off and the tires were just fine. So that's just something you have to watch for. Don't panic, but you might double check to make sure. What kind of tires? Well, if you live in Mount Shasta, you probably want to have studded tires. But if you live in Reading, I'm not going to invest in 4 tires that I'm only going to use, a couple of trips to Mount Shasta or Lassen. If you spend a lot of time in a cold, studded tires will work. For the rest of us, just carrying snow chains for just those particular cases where you might have to, absolutely carry them with you. It's a law if you're going to travel in the places where the snow is. They won't, they're supposed to have chain checks, and that's to make sure you have them. And if you don't have them, they're going to turn around and send you home. And they have some new, I'm not going to call them chains. They're snow treaded things. They're called tire socks, and it's literally a cloth, if you will, that goes around the tire that somehow or another is able to get a better grip than just the tire by itself. So if you're interested, you can look at those. As we head into spring, you'll find tire chains on sale. Grab them while they're on sale so you don't have to buy them when they're at full price in the wintertime. Here's a good one. What kind of fluid do you have in your windshield cleaner? Is it just regular windshield cleaner, or is it antifreeze style windshield cleaner? When the temperatures get really cold and you're fighting, snow and crap from the road, and you turn on your windshield wipers and hit the button for the water to come out, water comes out and freezes on your window. 2 minutes later, you're pulling over on the side of the road because you can't see. So you might invest in a little bit of windshield wiper antifreeze that can be added to your existing, or you can just buy, up in Mount Shasta, that's what they sell. They only sell the antifreeze windshield wiper fluid. That happened to me taking someone to surgery in Medford. And as we got up over the hill into Ashland, there was a lot of crud on the road, lots of traffic, and it was throwing up on the windshield. I turned on the windshield wipers and that was it. It was over. I had to pull over to use my scraper in order to get that off. So look for your scraper, keep it in the car. What happens if your locks freeze? That's happened a couple times to Cradfield and myself. His back camper, you got a lot of snow and stuff that's coming up on the backside of your camper shell or on your doors, and sometimes the locks will freeze up if it's that cold, and it might be difficult to get a key in there and turn. So I have actually used a hand warmer on my Subaru door lock to help it loosen up just a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't take much. They do make fluid. You could, potentially pour that windshield washer fluid over the top of it. That might help you too. Find your air scraper, put it in the glove box so you have it available. Drive slower. Cradfield will attest to this. We were driving from Mount Shasta to Castle Craig's, I think, is where we were headed, and we were passing a truck, and there was snow on the road, even though it had been cleared off, but there were still patches of snow. And as we were passing this truck, the car started to come loose a little bit, and that's real scary when you're next to a big truck. So just drive a little slower, let the trucks go past you, let the other people go past you. It's not worth spinning out on the freeway and into the center divide or into those cement things. Just drive a little slower. Ask yourself what's the worst case scenario would be and prepare for that. What could possibly happen to you when you're out in the weather in your car and you slip off the side of the road? How are you going to get out? Especially if you're on some little side road that nobody travels very much. How old is your car battery? If your car battery is new from the day you bought it, that's only a 2 to 3 year battery. You should probably be replacing it. If you've bought a new battery, generally speaking, they're 4 to 5 years. So if you open up your hood of your car, you might be able to tell how old that battery is. If it's more 3 or 4 years old, Don't wait for it to go completely dead on you in the middle of a cold day or a cold night or an early morning cold. Go ahead and replace it. I had to replace the one in my Subaru twice. The first one was the original. I replaced it with a new one. It lasted not even a year, and they had to replace it. And now I've got a third battery. It's on its second year. It's doing just great. Is your phone fully charged? How difficult will it be to call for help if your phone battery's dead? And if you take your phone with you in cold weather, and your battery or your phone is more than a couple, 2-3 years old, it's a lot like your car battery. It will lose power in that cold weather to the point that it'll go dead. And then when you get back in the car and you're driving your way back home, all of a sudden you've got power again. So that cold weather can make your phones go dead. So having a way to keep them warm, close to your body, under your armpits, close to your crotch, those kind of things will keep your equipment warmer. That can make a big difference. Here is Cradafil and Adam Atune and myself walking in the snow over a month ago now. This is late December, if I remember correctly, to the falls, Mossbury Falls, and big train coming down the road. Snow's about a foot deep. A lot of fun, cold. Not so sure I'd do it again, but it was worth it when we got there. This is the falls in the wintertime. So before I leave that little thing, just something that came up when all three of us arrived. And of course, you're always anxious to get a good picture of Mossbury because it's the first time you've been there in the wintertime. There's snow everywhere. Don't immediately run to the water's edge to get your pictures. Take the round way, take the long way to get to the water. Stay up off of that fresh snow so that you get pictures without footprints in it. It's not impossible to remove in Photoshop, but it is a lot of work. Before you get out of the car, agree with whoever you're with on what and where you're going, how long you're going to be gone. I quite often travel with my wife and she doesn't hike. So I'll get out of the car and say, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to hike from here to here. I'm going to be gone for 30 to 45 minutes. And then I'm going to turn around and hike back, which is another 30 to 45 minutes. So if I'm not back in an hour, that's when you start to worry. Something else that happened to us, we were out on a hike to the middle McLeod Falls, and one of our compadres decided to take a few more pictures, spend a little more time, and he missed the trail and ended up walking towards lower McLeod Falls. So he didn't show up. We're up on the top of the trail, ready to hike back, cold, feet are cold, hands are cold, and he's not showing up. So we left our equipment and started to hike down towards him. He had hiked, half a mile before he realized that he wasn't on the trail that he came down on, and had to hike all the way back and then come up the trail from the falls up to where we were. So he didn't get lost. He just got a little out of adjustment there for a few minutes. And it's just something you want to be aware of. Never leave anybody behind. That's where a phone can make a big difference if you have service. How long can you be out in the weather before it's too low? Well, you'll have to find that out. I know for me, it's not very long, an hour, hour and a half, and I'm pretty much toast. Even with gloves, even with hats, even with all the stuff, I got, heating pads on my toes and my hands. After, 18-degree weather, 10-degree weather, it's time for me to go back in, and your body will tell you. And if your body's telling you to get back in, it's time to get back in. Don't put it off. I don't care what your friends are doing. Make your way back to your car and get warmed up. Don't go alone unless you have a cell connection, period. There's nothing worse than falling down and hurting yourself and you don't have any way of calling for help. Okay, that's where that number one thing, agree on what and where you're going. Make sure everybody knows. And then, make your steps. It can be dangerous, can be very dangerous, but if you take all the right steps, it can be a lot of fun. I already talked about my hand warmers. There's Mr. Cradfield wearing some skis, skiing into, I believe this is Lassen, if I remember correctly. One way to get around. Feel the cold when you get out of the car. Take a moment and test the air. Just how cold is it? My sensor on my car sticks at 37 degrees. I don't know why, it just does. So I think it's 37 degrees outside. It's not, it's 18 or it's 22. Take a moment, figure out what that air is like, then dress appropriately. If it feels really cold, it's probably really, really cold and you need to be prepared. Is the ground frozen or wet? If it's wet, that means the temperature is probably above 32 degrees. But if it's frozen, it means it's below 32 degrees. And you just need to know, what it's going to be like if you hike for more than an hour. Or if you're sitting in one spot. Sometimes just sitting in one spot will get you colder. Is the snow deep or soft or hard as ice? So take your walking sticks and start testing the snow, not necessarily right off the side of the road, maybe a few steps in. That snow that's right at the side of the road is put there by a snow plow. It's almost always hard as a rock, but you could get out 10 or 15 feet and sink up to your thighs and not have a way to get out. Is it windy? If it's windy, cut your time in half or be prepared for that cold wind to really take it out of you in a big hurry. What's frostbite? Everybody know what frostbite is? That's when you don't get enough blood into your fingers and toes and they actually freeze like an ice cube. And there's 3 levels of frostbite. There's what they call pre-frostbite that you can recover from. And then there's medium frostbite, which you got a 50-50 chance of recovering from. And then you got full frostbite. If your fingers and toes are starting to change color, you're almost at frostbite and you should probably start looking for some medical help. You don't want to throw a lot of hot heat on anything that's super, super cold. So if your hands are cold and you think you're fighting frostbite, you probably want to consider warming them up slowly. It's just like a piece of meat in your freezer. You got to let it thaw. So give yourself a little bit of time to warm back up. Don't immediately throw them under the heat. Everybody knows what hypothermia is as opposed to hyperthermia. Hypo is cold. It's got that big O in there for cold, and hyper is got an E in there for heat. You can overheat and you can get very, very cold. In hypothermia, you get kind of when your body gets cold, your brain starts to not function quite as well. That's one of the very first indicators that you're getting too cold. First of all, you're cold, your fingers are cold, your nose is cold, your toes are cold. And if you can't think straight, you're on your way to hypothermia. If you get a little more hypothermia, you can't think straight at all, even to the point of taking your clothes off. So people with hypothermia have been found out in the middle of the forest with no clothes on because they weren't thinking straight. So just be aware what hypothermia is. It's just being exposed to the cold too long and your body's saying that's too much. I'm gonna shut down. As Mom always says, make good choices. Don't make the choices that are going to cost you. Make good choices. Another photograph of Cradfield. I believe that's Cradfield pulling a sled. They've been known to hike into different areas, pulling sleds with their camping equipment and spend the night and build a ice igloo or a shelf to put their hiking and camping equipment on. It can be a lot of fun. Frank Cradfield tells me I'm not good for spending a night in a cold snow. And he's probably right. I'd sure like to try it, but I don't know that I'm going to do that. Keep your balance. Watch your step. The snow can hide big ass holes. If you're hiking up, I like to hike up above Castle Creek Road, up above the top of all that manzanita. and you get close to a bush or a pine tree, and all of a sudden you're sinking up into your thighs, it's a little hard to get out of if you sink down pretty good. So just be cautious. Use those sticks to test the snow. Those sticks will help you get out. That's probably an indication of wanting to have your snowshoes with you. Also, when we were shooting at Middle McLeod Falls, I had my snowshoes, but I didn't put them on. Craddofield did, Adam did, and Jamie did. They were able to walk between the boulders on top of the snow. I tried to follow them thinking, oh yeah, I'll make it, and fell between two rocks, fell straight down between two rocks. And it was a little difficult getting out. So just be aware of keeping your balance and not falling. Use your hiking poles, use your snowshoes, use your yak tracks. I've fallen and I can't get up is an actual thing, and it can make your day or screw up your day. Wear your gloves. A lot of times I'll take my gloves off to manipulate the camera, and then I'll leave the gloves on the ground and wander around. And if you fall or you get stuck in the snow and you're using your hands in that snow to try and get yourself out, makes it very difficult because your hands get cold really fast. Slow down, make good choices. This is a photograph of Whiskeytown in the snow a couple years back when we had snow down to the valley floor. I highly recommend when the snow comes and the roads are halfway decent to get up at a little higher altitude so you can get some of these pictures, because they actually are pretty rare for us. Even though we do get some snow, sometimes we get a couple snowfalls in a row, it only happens once or twice a year, and then that's it. So if you don't get your shot of the bridge or the Whiskeytown or downtown Reading in the snow, you're not going to get another chance. And it melts fast, melts really fast. Tips for photographing in the snow and rain: stay dry, check your lens often. You can check them and 5 minutes later they can be completely covered. So check them often. Check your battery often. If your battery gets down, if your battery indicator starts to show or gives you a halfway mark, that's probably a good, safe place to change your battery out. You still have half your battery in your pocket warming up, which might give you 3/4 of your battery. So make sure that you have your batteries. Do you know the formula for snow exposure? Does anybody here know the formula for shooting in the snow? Nobody? Anybody? Add a couple of stops to compensate. Your light meter is set for neutral density or neutral gray, 18% neutral gray. If you shoot something white, your camera wants to make it 18% neutral gray. By adding 1 or 2 stops of light, you'll bring your snow back to the white color it's supposed to be. So that's a little tip for shooting in the snow. Before you photograph the waterfall, just make sure you got a lens hood on there. Keep your lens cap on until you're actually shooting. And as soon as you're done shooting, put your lens cap back on. Everybody knows what ETTR is? No? ETTR, exposed to the right, meaning use your histogram and exposed so your histogram leans all the way to the right, but not up the side of the right-hand side of your histogram. That means you're going to get maybe a brighter image than you want, but that's fixable in Photoshop. But you're not going to get gray snow, generally speaking, and you'll get a better exposure for your darks. And it's all that's recoverable in Photoshop fairly easily. Look for clouds. Clouds and fog can give you good color if you're there at the right time of the day. So that's why you want to check your weather, see if there's clouds available to you at sunset, sunrise. They break up that weather report by the hour, so you can look at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And if it says it's going to be clear at 3, but it's going to be cloudy at 5 and 7, pretty good chance you might get some good color in the snow. In the sky. If you're shooting without clouds, you want to make sure that you have your blinky indicator. If you're not sure what your blinkies are, ask me when we get done here and I'll explain it to you. Polarizer works not necessarily as a polarizer, but as a neutral density filter. So all of you know that a polarizing filter works when the sun is coming straight down your thumb. Everywhere you point your finger, that's where you get the maximum effect of your polarizing filter. Well, guess what? In the wintertime, the sun is not directly overhead. It's way out here, low in the sky. Your polarizer only works pointing straight up or off in this direction or that direction. So if you think you can just point your camera with your polarizer to the north side of the sky and expect it to work, it might not. Doesn't mean it's not helping. Neutral density is always a good tool, but be aware of, using filters. Also, filters can be a good way to keep the moisture off your lenses. I've used a couple of just not neutral density, sky filters, UV filters on the front of the camera. And when it gets wet, I can unscrew it and put another filter on there. And it can get wet and I can take that off. Just something to keep the moisture off the front of your lens. Color graduated filters. It's one more surface to check for moisture, but it also can bring down those bright skies. They make color grads, split grads. And if you're not aware of them, we can talk about that as we get close to the end here. This is my good friends, Frank and Adam Attoon. I believe this is a video that I made. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. Just watch this next 3 or 4 minutes here. That's it. I'm open to any questions.
Hey Frank,
Frank.
what are you taking your video with?
The camera, well, some of them are taken with my cell phone and some of them are taken with the camera, my Nikon D500.
And I think I saw Frank with the sled, little sled sometime.
Correct. It's just a snow sled is all it is. And
Yeah.
they hike in and you saw that little kitchen area that they had set up. They just chopped it out with a shovel and they got 3 or 4 stoves set up there.
And it looks like his pack's pretty heavy when he's got a big.
Pack's always heavy.
Yeah, it always is heavy. Very heavy.
Great,
Yes. Tiffany.
great job. That was
Thank you.
really great. I can kind of relate to the gear that you guys wear. I'm a kayaker and I kayak year round in the river here and on the ocean. And I found that the best layer to wear underneath my dry suit is the merino wools. They're awesome. They keep you warm. They wick the moisture away because you sweat a little bit. But yeah, great presentation.
Yeah, so the kayak store would probably be a good place to look for some of those clothes.
Yeah, Headwaters Adventure Company is a great place. Yeah, for that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
No more questions? That was easy.
I have
No,
one.
I don't know what blinkies are. I didn't know what
Oh,
that meant.
blinkies.
Yeah.
On the back of your camera, I should have grabbed my camera. You can adjust your screen to show you when the picture that you've taken has been blown out. And so on your back LCD, when you're reviewing your images, if you have it set for blinkies, and you might have to turn that on, you may not have it turned on as a default setting. You may have to go in and turn it on. And it basically just shows you any white that's completely blown out, meaning there's no detail in that part of the sky or that part of the snow. And if you've got blinkies, then you're overexposed and you need to bring your histogram back down so that it's not going off the image.
Okay.
Great tool. Anyone?
Right.
Anyone?
I have a question.
Okay, Asher?
What lens do you use mostly when you're out hiking and such for those beautiful shots?
The wide angle shots I use, I used to have a Tamron 10-24, but that was on my camera when I got it dunked and it wasn't repairable. So I ended up getting Tokina 11-17 and it's a 2.8, $399. It's faster, nice lens. I think Mike, do you have that lens?
No, I don't.
Okay, I thought you had that one. Anyway,
Rick and I both have that one.
Okay, yeah, it's a good lens. It's a little different what I'm used to because it's got a slide in and out for autofocus and manual focus, and that's thrown me a few times. I'm not quite used to it yet, but it works pretty good. For most of the shots that don't require a wide angle or a big telephoto, I use a 18-140 or an 18-200 lens. Nothing fancy, very inexpensive. And probably 50-60% of my images are on that lens.
Okay.
So if you get a good one, a good Tamron or a good Nikon, Canon, whoever makes, whatever brand, I think you'd be pretty happy. They make it 18-300. If you go look at the specs on those, they're all really, really close together, meaning the Nikon brand, the Canon brand, and the Tamron brand are only 1 or 2 numbers apart. So do you want to spend $899 on a Nikon version of the lens, or do you want to pay $399 for the Tamron version? Makes it pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
And then I use a 200-500 for the long shots, the close-ups of the mountain, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Welcome. Richard? Anything? CB? John? Lane?
All right, I'll bring something up since
Okay.
you wear glasses, I do off and on. So as well as the back of your camera. So when it's super cold, you need to really pay attention to your breathing And I purposely try to exhale, sort of blowing out to the side sometimes, especially when I'm really concentrating on my composition. And then when you're on that balaclava, your glasses can fog up pretty quick. And once they fog up, you're done with your glasses for quite a while.
Yeah.
So if you really need your glasses, you either need to take your balaclava down or just focus without your glasses, I guess, and hope for the best. Because especially with those that are still using a DSLR, your eyepiece, once that thing gets frosted up, you're done for a while.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful breathing on the back of your LCD screen for those that are using mirrorless.
Yep, absolutely. Happens to me every time I go out in the cold. Well, I must have done just a wonderful job.
You
Absolutely.
did an awesome job.
Did, Frank, that was great.
You guys rock.
The only thing that I would add, I've taken a lot, it's me, Heather. I've taken a lot of outdoor winter stuff is when you come in from the cold, unlike your situation where you guys are driving miles, if you're shooting it and then going right into a hotel or something, is to slowly let your camera warm up inside your coat or something. Don't take it right out into the very warm air.
Or keep it in the back where it's cold. Just don't let it get too warm too fast, and don't let it get too cold too fast. Either way is going to fog up and cause moisture, and that can really mess up your stuff. Yep, absolutely right. All right, I'm done with you guys.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Anytime.
You're not quite done, Frank, because
Oh, I know.
Where are you going?
Darn it, I thought I was going to sneak out.
No, you
We
can't.
know where to
sneak out
find you.
yet.
It's okay.
All right, what's next?
So next is our reflections competition, which there was so many good pictures. There was a lot of difficulty for people in picking their people's choice. And a couple people commented they were glad you were judging and not them.
Yeah, there was lots to choose from, very difficult to choose. I could have gone any of many different ways. I'll try and, point out if you want, why I went the way I did.
Right. Yeah. Any comments you can make as you go through them, we appreciate that. And if it's your picture that he's talking about and you want to chime in and ask a question or tell him anything you want him to know, just feel free to do that. So we'll let you transition into that.
Okie dokie. So do I need to open it up, or do you have it available for me?
No, you have it.
Okay, I gotta go get it. Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay, while he's doing that, Heather reminded me that we were supposed to only be picking one person overall for people's choice and not splitting, one for the regular group and one for the novices. And I had gotten confused because we had all those months when we were voting that way and didn't have a judge. So we were actually not supposed to be doing one for both categories. However, a lot of people were saying it was just so hard to choose. And Heather's suggestion is that we change it to, in voting for people's choice, that you can pick your top two out of the entire group, not delineating out one from the regular group and one from the novice group, but just pick your top two out of the whole thing. So I don't know how many board members we have here, or if that needs to be a board decision, but we'd like to throw that out there for everybody, what do you think about that?
I like the fact of going with a novice group to themselves and then the other group, because that way they get special treatment. They're not going in with the professionals first.
Well,
They won't be as intimidated.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa.
one problem with that is that half the time we have one novice.
Well,
You know, it's having separate is kind of.
But now we had three this time, and I agree. I think novice should be in a separate category. So that's my 2 cents.
We're talking about people's choice. We don't give a prize to not, you don't want to give, do you want to give one person in people's choice a prize every time if there's only two? Or we're talking about not the judging, we're talking about deciding a people's choice. So if you vote for your top two out of all of them, all the novices are included equally with the experienced people. So you vote for your top two, thereby making it a little easier. Everyone gets a chance to vote for two, and it might solve some of the problem that we have with multiple people tying.
Yeah,
You know?
and Frank Frank being a judge, when we have a judge, he's going to pick the first,
He's
second, and third, and a novice.
And a novice, correct.
He will be picking a novice.
Yeah, we're just talking about the people's choice right now. We're not talking about the judging at all.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'm ready when you guys are. I think we'll find out.
Okay, we'll turn it back to Frank.
Everybody see the screen? I wonder if I can make this big.
If you go up to the slideshow and pull that triangle down and then say start from the beginning, it will give you, no, over on the right, Frank. There. And then do start from beginning. And then you can just use your arrow keys to advance it.
Okay. All right, I'm ready when you are. This is a nice reflection. Definitely different. I like the colors. Remember that one of the things that I like to tell people about photographs, images, is if you have a lot of stuff in them, sometimes it's distracting, and this has got a lot of stuff in it, so it can be a little bit distracting. But a great shot. I enjoyed it. Nice reflection of the coot. Really nice. I know right where this is because I've got some great shots here.
Where?
Beautiful reflection. Beautiful time of year to go. The only comment I have about this image is that if you look at the whites, for instance, the cloud reflection in the water and the grass behind the water out there in the distance, they're kind of blown out. There's no detail in it. So just be aware of your brights. That's where your blinkies come in and can help you. Your histogram, you want to go right up to the edge and then stop. So this could have probably used a little less light.
Okay.
Really enjoyed this one. This is a great reflection of, a barn and a tree in water, and that's all you see. So, initially I had to look at it and think, what's going on with that sky? And then realized, that it's just an upside down picture of a reflection. And it's really nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anytime you can go to Yosemite and get a nice reflection like this from the mountain, you're going to do good. The water is like glass, and sometimes you'll get such a good reflection that it outperforms the mountain in the background. So sometimes it is a really good idea to crop out the subject, if you will, and just go with the reflection. I might have cropped out maybe a little more of that top section of the image. Really enjoyed this. This is a really impressive image. A lot of work went into this, setting it all up, lighting it. Whose image is this?
That would be Mike.
Michael. Great shot. Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
reflection. Yeah, really good shot. This is in my backyard. It's where I was last night when I got the picture of the clouds, right in this very spot, as a matter of fact. Good reflection. It's very hard to get a perfect reflection on the river because the water's moving. One of the ways you can try and do that is to take a longer exposure, and that will smooth out the ripples and give you a better reflection. So next time you're out there, put a neutral density filter on there, take a longer exposure, and watch that water go really smooth on you. Another nice reflection. This looks like it could be a little slough off of, near the ocean somewhere, but really hard to say. Could be an old dock. I like the fact that it's black and white and not color. That really makes you look at the texture. Another nice, great photograph. I don't know where this is at, but I want to go there. Look at all those birds back there. Good reflections, good color in the sky, good clouds in the sky. Really nice reflection shot. And I do like the foreground. A lot of people will leave out the foreground and go for full reflection, but I think having a foreground object creates a little 3D effect and gives your image some depth. So if you can, try to include some foreground imagery, as long as it doesn't distract from the image. Unique old dying rose or dead rose. Looks pretty dead to me, but still has good color. The reflection's a little bit on the dark side, but still a reflection nonetheless. I enjoyed it. I like this one a lot. I just like the color in this for the most part. I know it's a reflection, but I just think this really pops. And when it comes to looking at reflections, you look at reflections and you look at reflections, and then this one pops up and it just stabs you right in the eyeball. Like this a lot. Another great shot, good reflection, good somebody thought about this. Kind of tough to light because you've got to put the light in the right spot to light up both the back and the front of the image. So the mirror's giving you your light in the back, but you still got to light it from the front. Really nice. For whoever shot this is, you can use a little, this could be just a blue cloth or a blue paper. If you make a cove, in other words, not have that black edge in there, sometimes that makes it snap even more. Just something to think about. Another nice reflection of the buildings with the screws in the foreground. Like that. Again, this is one of those shots where it's probably a long exposure because you got good reflections, even color in the reflections. The long red lights are just the little spotlights up there at the top. If that water runs a long time, you get a nice reflection. Nice reflections, yes, absolutely. I don't know where this is, but it looks really familiar to me. I've got a nice reflection of the barn, a little bit of reflection of the rainbow. I would have preferred it more probably without the fence, but that's hard to do because the fence is there. I probably would have preferred it too with a little more reflection of the rainbow, but I really like the red, the intensity of the color, good clouds, nice shot. This is your nice reflection of rocks in the water, creating their own little island. You've got your black and white, and so you don't have any color to distract you. If you think about this, there's a couple of ways you could have printed, you could have supplied this without the reflection in the background and just the rocks. Would have been kind of interesting. Maybe, again, maybe not so much of the trees in the background, maybe just the reflection of the trees. I would have probably tried it a couple different ways to see what worked for you. You're losing a little bit of detail on the rocks in the foreground. They're black with no detail. Sometimes that's okay. That's what you want to, that's what you want to show. But sometimes that can be just like having too much light with no detail. So might consider lightening up the detail in the dark shadow area as well. Another really nice reflection, again, lots of great color, lots of patterns, lots of good blues. I looked at this a long time before I realized there were rocks there. I just was so entranced with the color that I wasn't seeing the rocks, but all of a sudden, bang, there's the rocks there.
There's
I goes,
rocks.
man, yeah, there's actually rocks in the sky. That's your
Yeah, I
sky.
can see them now.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a minute, but it did finally catch up with me. My eyeball finally went there. So it kind of talks to you a little bit about what your eye sees first. Your eye will always go to the lightest and brightest part of the image first. Then it goes to sharpness, then it goes to color, and then it goes to details. So this doesn't have too much details. Those rocks could have been there or not been there, wouldn't have bothered me. The fact that they're there just adds to the mystique, I think. I really kind of like this a lot. Perfect timing. You had water on the lot, so you get your reflection. It's got some shape to it. You got that big long wall. You got almost all of that that wall in that water, and that puddle might not be bigger than 3 foot by 2 foot for all I know. Really nice shot. Good reflection. Good sky. Remember you probably could have cropped it just a little bit tighter to get your edges in there. Get the green bush on the left and the buildings off to the right. Might have been able to be cropped out a little bit. Still a great shot. I like it. This one I had a hard time with. I've looked at this image 2 or 3 different times, and I see the reflection, but it really makes my head work hard, and that can be good and bad. I think this is a great image. I like the color is amazing. I like the reflection, the little bit of color from the reflection from the leaf on the gold there. Pretty amazing. I'd like to know a little bit more about this image, actually. Anybody available to tell me about it?
Yes. This is Chris Sellers. That was taken in Yosemite. Part of the river was frozen. And it was it was early in the morning, and the sun was hitting the rock above and providing the gold color.
Nice.
Other copies of this or other shots, the blue shows up more because the sky was also reflecting. So you had the gold coming from the rock wall and then the sky, but the blue doesn't show up as much in this one.
Is the leaf on ice?
It is on ice.
Okay. All right. That explains it. I couldn't tell if it was mud and I couldn't quite figure out if that was ice. I wasn't going to the ice right off the bat. Yeah,
Yes,
I like it. It's very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Very interesting. This is your classic dock scene. Water, trees, dock, boats sitting on the dock, steam coming up off the water. Really enjoy it. It's a great shot. Not too much I can say. There's a part of me that wants to look at it upside down, but still a great shot. Really hard to get good reflections of the moon. First, the moon is completely blown out, so all you have is a white disk. I like the image a lot. I might have tried to move the camera lower to the right to cut out the buildings and just got the moon reflection in the water. Maybe I know these things are always tough. Sometimes in some of my moon photography, I'll take 2 images, same shot, but I'll take one exposed for the moon, which is almost always 4 or 5 stops, sometimes 6 or 7 stops, darker to bring out the detail on the moon, and then take it into Photoshop and combine the 2 images, or just combine the moon shot into the reflection of the water and also in the sky. I like detail of the moon, but I like this reflection a lot. I think the buildings are a little bit distracting, I just would have liked to have seen it without that and a little more detail on the moon. Tough though, really tough. Good shot. There you go. That's your classic shot of Lassen. Manzanita Lake, you got good color all the way around, good reflections. It doesn't take much to create a ripple. I have a friend of mine, I have a picture of Lassen, nice reflection picture that I have tried to recreate probably 20 or 30 times. And I have not been able, and his is a near perfect reflection. They're really difficult to get. I generally try to shoot a longer exposure to try and get a near perfect reflection. Really early morning, late in the afternoon, certain days. It's sort of like trying to take a picture of Shasta Lake with a reflection of Mount Shasta in it from Shasta Dam. The lake is never smooth enough or glossy enough to get a perfect reflection. Come close a few times. Nice color, nice reflection. Like it. I'll always like a shot like this. If I ever move away, this will always bring me home. And I looked at this one quite a bit. Initially, I was a little confused, and then I figured it out because I could see the lights on the inside of the building. So this is a reflection of the building on the glass window. And I had to think about it for a few minutes, but I enjoyed it. It's really fun. This would make a good advertising thing for City of Reading or whoever it is that's taken care of there. You might share this shot with them because it's just different enough to make it stand out. Great color, really pops. But yeah, I like it. And this guy looks like he missed. I don't see anything in his mouth. Good reflection, good detail in the feathers. What was that? Yeah, good color. The nice thing about this is that if you'll notice, the bird's reflection has got more detail in it than the actual bird itself. That bird is right on the edge of blowing out its whites. So if you don't know about ETTR, type it into your Google, call me on the phone, and we'll go out and sit by the river and talk about ETTR. But really got to watch your reflections. That white on the bird is right on the edge. You can actually see more detail in the reflection. That's pretty common. That's pretty common. Like it. Another good reflection, and I bet money this isn't in California.
Oh, it's not. It's in Texas.
Ah, yes. Yeah, great trees, great roots. Love it. Yeah, amazing color. Nothing here really to distract you, although I have to tell you, I'm a little bit distracted by whatever it is, the vines that are growing on that tree on the left there. Any chance that's poison oak?
Oh, I really don't know.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. I think I probably, you may have, taken a lot of pictures just of the red climbing up that tree, those vines. Pretty nice. And I love that moss hanging from the trees. There's only a few places in California where you get that moss like that, Spanish moss. It's big, it's normal stuff in Louisiana, but it's not that normal out here in California. I want to go back to Monterey, back down where the race course is down there. They got a lot of oaks with a lot of this Spanish moss hanging from it, and just spend a day taking pictures of the oaks with the Spanish moss in the fog. I like it. Great reflection, fireworks. I don't think you can say anything bad about this picture. It's great. It's a great reflection of the fireworks. I love the pattern that fireworks makes in the water. You can't take a slow exposure to make the reflection better. You just don't have that kind of time. You could maybe take out the little stars, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I like it. Good color. Looks like an infinity pool almost. You got nice, flat, shiny mirror surface water and trees without leaves. And I like it a lot. There's a couple things that come to mind when I look at this. I wonder if I took just the left segment of it and just kind of got in tighter on the tree reflection, maybe just one tree reflection, how that would have looked. Good color, good blue, empty blue sky. You'll always notice the horizons always are a little bit lighter than the rest of the sky. You're looking through a lot more atmosphere. You pick up a lot more reflection. Good shot. Another Shasta Lake or any one of our lakes up here in Northern California. The lake is down, the stumps are showing. You could have put this in right side up or upside down. It would have been really difficult to tell. Really good reflections. When you get a little bit of color off into the trees like that, sometimes focusing in on just that little bit of color with the reflection can make that image really pop. And you now have tools in Photoshop, if you use Photoshop, where you can select color and then just work on the color just on that. So you just a couple little clicks, you can select that color and then go in and either increase the saturation or increase the brightness or even make it darker sometimes. And to bring that out and then maybe just crop it in real tight to, the trees with just that reflection, that one segment. Nice shot.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Mhm.
Always love this. Always love fog, mist on the water.
Mm.
Always do. And you'll notice again, if you look at the top of the mountain, your whites are just blown out just a little bit, but not so much in the water. So the reflection in the water doesn't have that same brightness level. Really nice image. Really like the mist. I want to be there. Where is this? Anybody know?
This is from Jessica. I don't think she's here tonight, but I know she had posted a lot of pictures from a trip to Glacier National Park and Yellowstone. So I'm guessing maybe up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Glacier.
Yeah, Glacier is probably my guess too.
But yeah,
Nice.
Glacier looks like.
Yeah, really nice. Always enjoy those perfect reflections like that.
Okay.
This was fun. This is really fun. The fact of the matter is, it's ice cold out. So somebody took the time to go out when there's frost on the trees and get a nice reflection shot. So, I got to give you points just for the fact that you went out there in the ice cold. Fog will happen. I was in McLeod not too long ago, and it was late in the afternoon, and the fog was starting to come up off the fields and covering the oaks, and they were just freezing right there on the spot. But the fog was also catching up with us and the car, and so we were just trying to stay ahead of it long enough to get some pictures. When we went back the next morning, everything was just frozen solid, all white like this. It's not rare. You can probably get it pretty regular up around Mount Shasta and McLeod, but it's still fun to see. Nice reflection. Color, you could have made this black and white. It would have been just as strong black and white or with color. So I like it a lot. And this is our novice category.
Yeah.
And I think we only have, do we have 2 or 3? I forget.
2, I think.
3.
3, okay. So really nice image, great color, great reflections in the right place at the right time. You even have mist on the water. It's a unique house, just the way it stands. You don't have too many distractions. Maybe could have cropped in from the right just a little bit, maybe, but I'm not going to hurt you for it. I think this is a really great shot. Who's the novice that took this?
I thought he was here. It's
Jason.
Jason? Yeah, great shot.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, I woke up early to get that one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I have missed. I tend not to be a person that wakes up early in the morning. I tend to stay up late or, but the only time I really do get up early is if I'm going to go out on a trip somewhere. And I miss lots of really good sunrises.
Mhm.
Great shot.
Thank you.
Another great shot. You know, look at this white duck. This white duck has detail everywhere. It's got water drops on his back. You know, the whites are not blown out. Got good blue color. Sky is blue. Reflections in the eye. Sharp. Really nice photograph. Did a good job. Should be proud of that as a novice. Not all of us will spend the time to take a picture of a duck, but you know, it's just a duck. But when you take the time to get it right, you've got that little, drop of water that created the little circle of what do you call that? You know, when you drop a rock in the water, all those concentric circles. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Yep. Really nice. Good detail. Really sharp image. I like it. This I'm going to have to say is probably Crater Lake. And nice shot. Color is very muted. It could have been sometimes you get up at high altitudes like that. Could be the smoke in the air. It could be that it just was a hazy day. But the only thing lacking in this image at all is just the color seems really muted. You might take it back in and see if you can't saturate it. Of course, if it's a smoky day or a hazy day, that's just the way it was. But, very good reflections. If you look out on the water, there's only a few places where the wind's actually on it. Nice, really nice. That's a different view. All right, I think that's the end of the slides. Now I got to go back and find where I marked the ones that I marked.
That one.
So I marked them actually on the images. Do you guys have that? I'm gonna have to go back. And, let me see if I can find it then. Give me a second.
I think you put it in your speaker's notes or something because it doesn't show up in their view.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Oh, speaker. I didn't think about that.
That's why Debbie's our president. She thinks of that.
Yeah, she knows all that stuff. All right, let me see if I can find it. I'll be right back.
I will tell you that just to show what a great collection it was, all 3 of our novices got votes for People's Choice. And out of the 30 in the experienced group, 13 of those pictures got votes.
Wow.
So you can tell it was really a difficult decision.
Yeah, it's not in my speaker's notes, so I'm going to go back to the file I sent you on an email and bring that up.
So
all you said to me was, "I'm done."
Yeah. Well, I marked it.
Tell me who won.
You're done.
Hold on, give me a second.
A quick word on the outing I'm trying to put together for the drones. The area we're going to, I don't know how many people have been there, probably a lot, down River Bend off of Bend Ferry Road. It's, if people without a drone want to come along, there's a lot of photo ops out there too. If somebody's interested in coming, it might be kind of an interesting outing.
Oh, they're like an address, or can you, like, what exit do you take?
It's Jelly's Ferries Road, right south of the Red Bluff rest stop. And you go out and you turn off on Bend Ferry. There's not a whole lot of streets out there, so it's easy to find.
So it's out there past those Strawberry?
Yeah, you go past Driscoll Strawberry and you go along there. There's one pond where there's usually birds out there. And
when are you doing it?
A couple little ponds. Haven't figured out yet. It'll be probably next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. I'd like to go.
Yeah. Yep. Put me down.
Yeah, me too.
Are you going to be sending out a notice on that?
Yeah, we'll put it out.
While Frank's looking, I'll remind you that our next competition theme is shapes. And it had been planned to be a print competition, but it's actually been changed to a digital, which if you read the letter I sent, you know that already. Our next speaker, we're actually getting someone who is from the East Coast, who came very highly recommended from another photography group. And so he'll be speaking on Zoom with us again in March. And that topic is going to be urban night imaging. So, and I don't think we're going to be able to tape that one. So really try to be there for it because he comes really highly recommended. So we hope it's going to be great.
So I found the one that I sent, but for some reason it doesn't have my notes. So I'm going through real quick and finding the ones that I made notes of. It'll take me just a minute.
So
anybody else know of events coming up that would be good for photography?
I know on Memorial Day weekend, the River Quest is going on again. So it's that big race, the 25 mile, the 50 and the 100-mile downriver race. And it starts here in Reading. So I won't be doing photos because I'll be on the water participating.
Oh, in May. In
Can
May.
you
Yeah.
post
In May.
something about that when we get closer?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
It's a fun one. It's challenging to keep up with you guys, though.
Yeah, I don't know how fun it's gonna be when I'm only doing the 50 miles, so I'll be finishing at Red Bluff. So I'm not sure if I'll think it's fun then.
Yeah.
So the 25 mile was fun.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll post something because it would be good to get some photos for that.
Okay. I've done it a couple times, so I pretty much know my spots.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay.
Or at least I should be anyway. All right, can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so third place is this one right here. Oh no, wait a minute. This one's got the stuff on it. There we go. It's funny, it wasn't showing it earlier. Was it? There we go. Okay, there's your third place.
Oh, okay.
So Mr. Iceman got third place. Second place goes to.
That makes sense with your talk, Frank.
Yeah. Second place goes to your rock wall.
Mm-hmm.
And first place goes to the rock water.
Mm-hmm.
Nice reflection. And then our novice is. Dun, 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 dun.
Slow down, Frank. What was the first place one?
Number 8 is first place. Number 11 is second place. And number 18 is third place. And your novice is number 31. So congratulations.
Okay, can we start at the beginning and just we'll identify each photographer?
Sure.
And then maybe I'll hear which one was first place. I still don't know.
Monet.
Oh.
The Monet.
The
Yeah,
Monet.
The colorful
The
one.
blue
Okay.
gold
Whose
Monet.
image? Whose image?
I don't think he's here. This was George Ayrton's.
Okay. Whose image?
Jane? Would I bet Jane?
This is Jane Dysert's.
Oh, really?
Oh, she's not here.
She's probably out shooting.
Yeah, no, she's in bed. Because she's getting up early in the morning.
That's mine.
That's yours,
Lisa.
Lisa's?
Yeah.
Good one.
Lithia Park.
Yeah.
Just try to do something different this time.
Yeah, you did nice. You did nice. I'm interested who this is.
Who's that?
That's Susan Tangeman, and
Nice, Susan.
Very good.
Yeah.
it's kind of an aftermath of the sheep fire. We had a big flood and debris flow, and so this was
Oh.
like my front yard
Oh, gosh.
practically, and our tree
Yeah.
and barn. So hopefully I never take this photo again.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like it though. It's different.
Good
It
picture.
definitely
I like
stood
it.
out. Let's see, where am I here? Who went to Yosemite?
Debbie?
Who?
That's Pat Clark's.
Okay. And we know this is Michael's.
Yep.
I gave you an honorable mention.
Thank you. Just for general principle, it took about an hour to set up, and also it doesn't really help when you kick the table leg halfway through it. Knock over half the stuff. So yeah, there may have been a word or two that came out of my mouth.
Are those staples?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't quite sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I see the nuts and the bolts and the screws and the washers.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. They kind of look like staples. I wasn't
You
sure.
have to have patience for that. My goodness.
Yeah.
It takes
Yeah.
a while.
That was really nice. I enjoyed it. Who's
Okay,
in my backyard?
Yeah, that's mine. That's the train trestle just west of the boat ramp at Lake Reading.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time to throw on a neutral density filter. I was there for another purpose, and I just kind of just shot it.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And who's is this a dock?
That one's mine. That's Rick Ruddy. It's actually a pond on Susan Tangeman's ranch up in Susanville.
Oh.
We were up there. It's kind of an overcast day, and it was interesting shot to make it black and white instead of color.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Susan, what was it before it got in disrepair?
It had to do with the overflow pipe for the pond.
Oh.
But a different system is being used, and you can see the trees reflecting from the forest, what's left of it, quite a ways away. And that's not very close to the pond, so it's kind of amazing that they show up that well.
Yeah. Came out good. And what part of the country is this?
I don't know if she's here either. This is my sister Suzanne's, and this was taken in Maine.
Ah, yeah, had to be. Had to be. Good. I like the reflections. Who did this?
That one's mine, Debbie.
Abby, I like it. It's just different enough. I would have liked to have maybe seen a little more reflection on that, but
Yeah, it was really dark because that's against black plexiglass, and I didn't have enough light kind of hitting low.
Right.
And what you can see is mostly because I went in and painted with a brush and brightened it up some.
Nice, nice, yeah, good shot. This now, why does that show? This is number 11, and I'm not seeing my notes up there now, but this
Number
is
12, actually.
Oh.
Number 11.
Oh, it's number 12.
It's page 12, number 11.
Number 11.
I'm looking at the numbers on the actual picture.
Yeah, that's the numbers. The number you see to the left are the page. 'Cause
Okay.
the title page is number 1.
Okay, so number 11 for the photograph is second place. And I skipped.
That's not what you had on the side to the next
Oh, what did I do?
That's not that one.
It's not that one, it's a different one.
No, when he went through that, that was his number.
There
That was his number 2 when he went through it.
Yeah, for some reason the numbers aren't matching what I wrote down.
Oh,
Okay.
no, it wasn't. It was this one.
Okay, so this is first place. Who's in it?
Thank you very much.
But that's
It's Bonnie. It was up the end of October. We had a chance for the first time to get into Glacier National Park. It's Lake McDonald. And I hate to say it, but it was with my Samsung phone, and colors were absolutely stunning. We had fall starting in August in the Tetons and went all the way through November for us. We just kept following fall. So we were there for 10 days. And I was standing on a dock, and I was just stoked by the colors that I got to see. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Let me go back because I think I skipped ahead here.
Yeah, see you're on the palm trees. That was a different one.
Right, right. Palm trees is very nice. Very, very nice.
Where's the Corona?
This is shot in the big island of Hawaii, and it's a tiny itty bitty little crop of a bigger picture, and it's in a reflection of a pond.
Who is it?
Bruce Manning. He just
Nice.
joined. And we were in Hawaii 2 weeks ago, and that's when he took it.
Nice. What part of Hawaii? Oh, what, on the big island? Or?
Big island in Kona.
Nice. Nice.
It's
Yeah,
actually a national park. It was called, I can't remember the name of the park, but it was a national park on Kona.
Nice. Yeah, like it. Like it a lot. Whose picture?
John.
John. You worked hard on this one.
I guarantee you I did. I almost gave up. I said, okay, I'm going to do it one more time. And that's what I ended up with. And that's two blue cutting boards is what you're looking at.
All right. Next time you do it, try and take a board and then curve it for the background.
Yeah.
And that will get rid of that line right there. But I like it, and I like the lighting on it. It's amazing. Came out really well. Whose reflection of nuts and bolts on the building?
That one's my dad's. That one's Richard Scholl's. He's coming on right now. We both completely forgot about the meeting tonight.
Well, here he comes right now. Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Yep.
He's coming on right at this
He's
moment.
coming on. They're talking about your photo right now. Oh, here. It's all right.
Here, just use mine.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much. That's what I'm doing right now. So, your photo. Where'd you take it? San Francisco.
Had a feeling. Yeah. So it's just now is the nut and bolt part of the building? Is it like a hardware store or something?
Yeah. It's part of the window.
Yeah, interesting. Just a different kind of reflection with those nuts and bolts and then the building in the background. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Welcome. Who's other San Francisco?
This is Sandy's. This is, of course, the Bay Bridge from Treasure Island. And luckily, it was a windless night, and we took a long shutter spree, and that's what we got, you know.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice when you don't get a lot of wind down there. It just makes it more comfortable to sit for a little while and take pictures.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but
No, it sure doesn't. And it messes up your water too.
yeah, it does. It does. So those little lines don't become straight. They've got a lot of ripples in them, but this one turned out okay.
Yeah, that's cool. My sister lives down there, and she's invited me to go down and spend a week at her house and just go around and take pictures. And I have yet to do it, and I'm probably going to regret it if I don't go. So yeah, pretty nice. Whose barn?
It's mine.
And where's it at?
And it's in Orland, out in the country. I went out to take pictures of the mountains on the west side, and as I pulled in there, I was parked towards the west, and then I decided to turn around so I can get out easier. And when I did, I saw this picture. It's cropped like that because there was a fence in front of me also.
Yeah.
And so I snapped the picture. It had just stopped sprinkling.
Wow.
So I wasn't there for this picture. I was actually there to take pictures of the west side.
So how good are you at Photoshop?
Real good.
He's very good.
He's very good.
Take out that fence. Come on.
Well, I
a lot
thought
of work.
I thought about it, but then I'd have to take it out of the water and.
Yeah. It's a great shot. It's too bad that it's protected to keep, people and dogs and animals out. Still a great shot. Would have been really nice. Whose rocks?
Annie, are you still with us? I think she must not be here anymore. This is from Ginny, and she's our member that is shooting film on a 4x5 camera.
Oh, wow.
And this was a, what'd she call it? A silver gelatin print, and then it's a scan of it.
Wow. So this is a lot of work to get there. Shooting with 4x5, then scanning it, then, a lot of work. Well, tell her it's a great shot. I still, and 4x5 work is very interesting, not very forgiving. So, to get a good exposure out of it, number one, and then to get a good crop out of it, number two, and then you have to scan it and try not to lose any detail. That's probably why the rocks are as dark as they are, is because, when you went from the negative to the print to the scan, you start to lose some of that information that you started with. But yeah, I like it. I think if you were, I wish I could crop in, on the screen, but I think if you put your hand up over the top of those trees and just did the rocks on itself, it would be a pretty amazing image. All right, and this is number 17 or 18, depending, 18 slide, 17 image. Oops. And that's my first place. I think I already said that.
Yeah.
And then right below it is second place. And then I regret not giving you at least an honorable mention on this.
Who did the second place one?
Yeah, who's that?
Carmen isn't able to talk, but that's Carmen Bosses, and she said she took it down in Red Bluff.
Nice. There's going to be a lot more. If you know what Dwayne's up to, he's involved in taking pictures of lots of murals. And if you think about it, there's going to be lots more murals around. And there's a lot of little places like this that you can find in the nooks and crannies where somebody's gone in and done some stuff. And even the trains that are passing through town or parked temporarily have some really colorful art. And sure would like to, I don't feel as comfortable on the railroad tracks these days as I used to. And they're also surrounded by a fence, but there's some really colorful art out there that needs to get pictures taken of. And if Carmen's listening, nice job on the reflection. Like it.
Yeah, she is.
Cool. Who's, I think I heard from this person already, but remind me.
Chris.
Chris, it's my photo.
Yeah, nice shot.
Thank you.
Who's Dock of the Bay picture?
That's Doug Davis's.
Cool. I like it. I could spend an hour just photographing this. Easy. Whose reflection on the water? Anyone?
He was here. This is Elaine Bell.
Yep, nice shot. I really like this big rock and the moon. And every time I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, do I move left? Do I move right? Can I get down lower? Can I stand up, sit down, fight? I want to go back and shoot this myself. Great one. And another Manzanita Lake. Who's the Manzanita Laker? Yay! I can't quite see your face. Is that Michelle?
Yeah, that's Michelle.
Yeah. Nice cannon shot. How you liking your new camera?
Gosh, I love it.
Gosh.
During shooting wildlife.
Wow, that's cool. Are you noticing that more are in focus?
more in focus. I went from an 80D to the R5. It was a huge, huge step.
Nice.
So, yeah, a lot more in focus, a lot more keywords.
Cool. And whose unique picture is this?
That's mine. Ron.
Nice job.
I'm trying to do almost all my work now with my phone.
Somebody's got their microphone on.
Michelle, you need to mute because you got some issues with your audio.
Yeah, I like this shot. I think you might show it to whoever is in charge of retail at the Whistle. Bring it to their attention anyway.
Sure.
Who's Gooster? Geester.
That's my egret, Sharon.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's it almost looks like he's got food in his mouth.
He had something, but he kept dipping his beak down in the water.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
what, I think he had something small.
Okay.
Not sure. I didn't see a fish or anything.
Yeah, sometimes that after they grab something and get it partway down their throat, they'll dip in, get some water to help it go down.
That's mine. Carmen,
Nice.
another Carmen.
Another Carmen. Nice Monet.
And that was in the hill country of Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I really like those trees. I want to go there. I got to spend some time in Texas, I'll have to tell you.
Well,
You said in Austin?
in Austin, the hill country.
Yeah, so in case you're not thinking about it, you probably should start thinking about it. We're only a couple of years away from the eclipse of the sun. And being in Texas is one of the prime spots.
Oh,
So
I have lots of friends there.
yeah, so you might want to think about making some plans. You're just a little over 2 years away, and places get, hotels and places to park your car get taken up really fast. So if you've got friends, you might want to talk to them about it. Who's fireworks?
Was here before. This is Dawn Pierce.
Cool. Nice one. Who's reflection?
Oh, Heather, that's me.
Heather, where's this at?
That is a walking trail at Clover Creek with my iPhone.
Oh, nice. So it'd be hard to crop it then.
Yeah, I tried one and it'll zoom in a little, but there just wasn't, because there was some sponge in the water down low. I had to kind of get above that, and
yeah, I'm kind of thinking something. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. This doesn't want to work for me, but something like a crop of just that little section right there. Yeah, I like it.
Felt
All
cute.
right. Who do we got left here? We
Well,
got
cropping would be fine for showing on the screen.
yeah.
And
Yeah, you're right.
And you had a newer iPhone, cropping would be fine shooting it raw.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And here's another one. Whose shot is this?
That's mine, Janet.
Janet, I think if you did a crop of, if you have the capability of cropping and just doing this area, Craddophil has a shot up at Lake Siskiyou that's just a crop of this with the reflection of the water in the sky. I'm probably a little too low. I did, see if I can do it. Something along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
That might be an interesting shot. And then if you go into Photoshop and select the color from those trees and then just crank up the saturation a little bit, that could be a very interesting shot.
Okay. I have to master Photoshop eventually. So that was
Well,
an iPhone shot in Paradise Lake.
yeah, very nice. I think it has a lot of possibilities, and it's a perfect reflection, honestly.
That was how it was, and it was very beautiful, just mirror image.
Yeah. Who's went to British Columbia? I think we,
This was Jessica Canby's.
okay.
I have a question, Frank.
Ask away.
I just, the egret was so beautiful. All of them are so beautiful. And this was so beautiful. And you keep saying ETTR. I understand exposed to the right.
Correct.
But what I didn't understand is you said the detail was always better in the water. How would you fix that again? What's in the sky? Is it post
Nope.
work?
No, you have to get you have to get your image, the mountain itself, not the reflection of the mountain, but the mountain itself. You want to get the blinkies to not be blinking up on the top, because there's no detail in this top of this mountain right here, this little
Okay.
piece right here. I
All
don't know if
right.
you can see my crosshair right there,
Yeah,
but
I do.
yeah,
Yes.
there's no detail there at all. But if
Oh,
you
I
come
see.
down here and you look at
Yeah.
that same spot, you have more detail. It's
Oh, you sure
because of
do.
the, it's
Okay.
almost a filtration that happens because of the water.
Oh, okay.
And that's very, very common, that the reflection looks nicer than the actual image does. But if you do your exposed to the right and get that white to not blink, this will be darker, that'll have more detail, and it'll just be a better shot.
A graduated filter would work
Yes.
better or not?
Yes, graduated filter would work as well. Yep.
But not with post crop, not the post work. You can't put the graduated filter on. If you were using Lightroom and you came down with the graduated filter, that's not going to get your detail back, right?
Once you shoot that photograph and there's no detail in the bright, it's gone. You can't
It's
bring
gone.
anything back.
So-
I could make it gray, I could make it darker, but I can't bring detail back once it's gone. So the key is to make sure you get that detail in the brightest spot, and then hopefully you have enough detail. You know, there's so much you can bring if you shoot in RAW. There's so much you can bring out of an image in RAW. It's just crazy. I shot a picture of what's that little bird that's got a lot of color that has a big beak.
The white-faced ibis.
No, not the ibis. It's much smaller, but a kind of a real colorful rainbow color. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but it just goes from the branch down to what?
Toucan?
Yeah. No, California bird. Anyway, I have a picture of one that, I saw it. I said, oh my gosh, there's a bird. Took the picture, and I was in manual mode from something else that I shot. I was 5 stops underexposed and was able to bring that bird out so you can see all the detail. So, I can bring detail out of the shadows. I can't bring any detail out of the bright once it's lost. So if you're going to make a mistake in the bright, make a mistake in the shadow, not in the bright. And that'll go a long way.
You're on,
Go ahead.
while you're on that picture, this was the People's Choice winner in the experience group.
I see why. Yeah. Good job.
Good job, Jessa.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
And then this was 3rd place. And you got that marked down. I think I already talked about it.
Who was it?
Who's out in the snow?
I thought she was still here. This is Lana's.
Yeah. Nicely done. What's Lana's last name? Do you know?
Bill.
Hill.
Okay. Yeah. Nice shot. Really great shot for the novice. Another great novice shot. And another great novice shot.
Go back to the first novice shot, please.
Yep.
This was the People's Choice winner in novice, and I don't know if he's still here, but this is Jason's.
Yeah.
Are you still here, Jason?
Nope. Doesn't sound like it.
And who were the other 2 novices?
Who did the duck?
Who's duck?
It's
mine.
Who's that?
Brenda.
Oh,
It's mine, Brenda.
Brenda.
I like
Brenda.
it.
Great
Yeah.
shot.
Who's that, Kutris?
Yeah.
Nice.
It doesn't matter where. I mean, you could get this bird just about anywhere, any body of water. It's going to have a duck like this around it. But getting a good picture of that duck without distractions, without, with the detail that you have. I mean, you can see the water drops on the back, even in this, lower resolution file. And I just love that little whirlpool there right below his beak. Really nice, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then last but not least,
This is from our newest member, Rex Farley. Are you here, Rex? I don't think he is.
okay.
He just joined this month and got a picture in 2 days after he joined.
Good job. Way to go.
Nice, nice. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the group.
There's one-
Any
there's
questions?
Gorgeous photos.
Frank.
Great job, everybody.
Thank you, Frank, so much. Thank you,
You're very
everybody.
welcome, very welcome.
Really good.
Thank you, Frank.
You're very welcome. You guys have fun. If you ever have any questions, anything photographic, I know I get questions from you every once in a while. Don't hesitate. You know, that's all I do in retirement is take pictures. And
Yeah, isn't that what you all do?
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. Have fun.
All right, you too. Thanks, Frank.
Welcome.
You guys be careful.
And bye, other Frank.
I think he's gone already. He texted me a while back.
I will
Wanted
text him. It's okay.
to know if I was done yet.
Oh, I have a quick question for those that are still left. When we go someplace like going out down to Red Bluff, do we need to do it on a weekend or everybody free on a weekday?
That spot that you're talking about, are you going past the Jelly's Ferry store?
Yeah, you got to, I want to go past the airport zone, the control airspace. Because the airport is right up to the edge about, when you get up to where you pass the buildings and you're out of that, the controlled airspace.
Okay, so, okay, that's all I needed to know. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Up in Road.
Here.